Good evening, Gemini. This read is for you. I like to think my reads pertain to whatever planets you have in Gemini and wherever Gemini lords, whatever house Gemini lords in your chart. Your sun and moon, but most importantly, your ascendant. Okay? Now, let's look a little bit at what's going on for Gemini. We have the sun in Libra in your fifth house, so you might be feeling particularly playful. Gemini are a pretty playful sign anyway. And we just had that full moon in Aries, and that would have hit your 11th house, and it would have squared Pluto. And you have Pluto in your 8th house right now, so there might have been a bit of triggering, some deep stuff, some fears perhaps about being out in the public eye or your image or being yourself in a crowd. And then with that pressure in your Libra, in the sun and Libra in your fifth house, kind of adding a little pressure of play or inspiring you to be more playful and creative, it's possible that's pushing up against sort of fears to be free. Maybe there's a sort of a push to be free and then some deep fears around that, perhaps. All right, let's see what shows up. All right, if you are at all interested in a private personal read, you can email me at my email below. I also do workshops where I teach divination tarot, and I also do parties, which are fun. I do tarot card reads at parties, which are a lot of fun. So, let's go ahead. I call in the highest guides and angels available to us right now. Enable me to have clarity of a message for Gemini to help guide them to their highest best destiny, highest best version of themselves, knowledge of their higher will, their deeper desires that are aligned with their highest best. All right. Seven of Cups on the bottom. Starting out with the Three of Swords, King of Swords, there is the card that represents Gemini. Ten of Pentacles. All right, let's see. Ten of Pentacles, Strength. Seven of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, two kings here, interestingly enough. And, alrighty. Okay, let's have a look, Gemini, and see what is going on for you. What did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I did a whole extra line for you. I only usually do 4 lines. It's interesting that that happened, so we'll figure that out in a minute. Okay, it looks like this... Let's pull all this down so you can see all the cards clearly here. To me, this read says, again, we had the end of this read. It's interesting that I got really pulled. I feel like Spirit pushed me to pull another line of cards because double decision card coming up. Okay, double choice. Plus we have the Seven of Cups here at the bottom of the deck. So that represents making a choice. So let's have a look and see. Okay, disappointments, upset coming in here at the beginning of the read, but knowledge of how to this disappointment is motivating you to make a clearer choice. Looks like in a relationship. For a relationship, this looks like a relationship read. Ten of Pentacles could also be choice about home. So if you're already in a relationship, because we also get the Six of Cups down here, that came up somewhere. Where's that card? That card is here. Either your relationship is going to become more harmonious and more up a grade to a more in alignment co-operative venture and way forward together that's going to be much more abundant, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Or if you're not in a relationship, Gemini, you are going to become very clear about what has disappointed you previously and what you want, and possibly even a relationship coming in because of this clarity is going to ground a very strong situation for you. Strength card. This whole thing is about choices. I'm this whole read looks really strong in that area. Okay. The 11th card is the Three of Pentacles. So we've got Pentacles here, so we've got money in the picture. I remember this card was at the very end. So it doesn't really matter. But I'm gonna start with this up here. Have it make sense in a minute. This is a period for Gemini where they are becoming very clear about a choice that needs to be made that's going to enable them to come forward, take their life forward, possibly commissioning with their true love, or their divine partnership, or work, bringing forward finances, work situations that have previously been turned away from. This is an interesting read. I'm getting it now. There's like the King of Cups and the King of Pentacles turned away. So what's happening for Gemini is they haven't been able to see the feelings versus the money. In other words, they've been out of alignment with their choices because they've been making choices for practical reasons rather than heart reasons. And you know, Gemini whenever I do reads for Gemini, I tend to have to pull them to their heart space because Gemini are so strong in their head. They're such strategizers, they're thinkers, they're always thinking ahead. And the thing is that it alienates them from what they're really feeling, and they can get so far out there, lost in their thinking, that they've lost their knowledge of divine will for them, their own personal heart space. And this read is sort of saying that the Gemini are coming really into alignment with heart here, with knowledge of heart. But it's interesting that I get a pentacle in the heart space. I get the Ten of Pentacles, which is a completion. So it's almost like the puzzle piece that has been missing for the Gemini, because they've been financially maybe practical focused. They are now deciding to make sure that they're making heart choices. So now that's partnering with their practical choices, and then you get this heart-fulfilled practical home life. So it's almost like we've got some major puzzle pieces coming together for Gemini as far as how to make how to integrate heart choice with practical choice, and realizing that how to bring practicality into a love situation. So instead of sort of seeking love situations, or it can be work too, something that you really love to do for a work perspective can be taken on from the Gemini have a tendency to make choices from a very mental place rather than a heart feeling place. So as soon as the Gemini align with their heart and they start to really focus in, here we have them focusing in, knowing their heart. Once they really align their feelings with that, it's sort of a completion. And that's why we get the Ten of Pentacles in the heart space. It's sort of like a completion to the whole picture. So the Gemini are aligning their heart with, instead of trying to fit heart into practical situations, they're now they're going into their heart space and making things practical around what they love. And they're realizing that creates more strength. It's a stronger, as well as it needing strength to do, because it's easy to make choices from headspace. It's hard to necessarily go with a heart's choice if it's not practical. But the Gemini are seeing that if it's a heart space, the practicalities around it will happen. In other words, if you're strong and you can be patient and you really make the choice, which is hard for Gemini, making choices is hard. But they're realizing that, because they have a fear about making a choice. If a choice is hard to make, it's because you're afraid to make the choice. But what's happening for Gemini is they're realizing they can make the choice based on heart, and you can turn it into a practical. It can become practical, and to just be strong, to ground a heart situation in order to make it practical, and just sort of ride through a period of time that it takes to build to sort of, for it to become clear how the practicality then now surrounds it, because the divine will bring in we'll bring in the details and we'll work it all out if we go from heart. So again, I see commission here. I think the Gemini are going, because the Gemini is the sign of the lovers, and we're really getting like, let's see, we're getting this sort of, this is a mess. I'm just going to let the cards fall where they may. I do remember this was a choice. So this issue for making choices for Gemini is becoming a lot easier now, because they're focusing in on not just what they think, not what's just practical, because that has led them to disappointing situations before, but to progress financially from what they love, from a place of self-nurturing, knowing that fulfilling the heart desire, making the choice from a heart perspective rather than just practical, is more all around self nurturing. It attracts you a loving relationship. It attracts you people that love you, and then we get this mission based on that, creates a very stable commissioning with a relationship that's progressing forward practically, that's in the heart. Okay. And then we get the reason that the Gemini knows is sort of become aware that, first of all, a choice really needs to be made, but they've become really aware of turning away from making this choice has become too much of a burden. They're blocking forward progression in their life. So you've come to a point in your life, Gemini, where you sort of have to make this choice, but you're going to want to make this choice from we're getting all these really nice cards around this choice. I mean, I think you're going to go for it. I think this is a pure communication involved. I think this is good, because your lack of this is going to shift. You're hesitating over making a choice because you've had disappointments before, but you're going to become very clear now that what you haven't done before. I didn't mean to say that, like what you haven't done before, but it's like that's the kind of energy behind it. Is sort of like realizing that a shift in the choice, in the base of the choice being based on purity of giving, of love, cooperation, nurturing, kindness, empathy, loving. This is the energy of Cancer, going forward in a loving way. This is the choice to make, and this is adventurous too. And to summarize this, the Gemini in this period are learning to make choices that integrate their desires, their deep desires, with practical security choices. They're realizing they haven't motivated, that they've been led to less than optimum situations because of motivating for superficial reasons, Basically, that's kind of the reason. And Gemini have a hard time. It's just the way they are. I mean, they have to really focus in on what they feel. They have to really align in on that. And when they make that connection, they have this strength. They become much, because the Leo is all about the heart. So when they incorporate heart, it's you really have the ultimate force, and it creates abundance, a lot of abundance, and strength and longevity and stability, and enough stability because it's cooperative, in order to take things forward into a commission, in unity, in a harmonic union. So I hope this helps you make this decision, Gemini. All right, namaste. Thank you for watching.